Let me move this over a little bit. There we go. Okay. Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to another episode of Coaching the Many. Today we're going to be talking all about Reinhardt, but I just wanted to get started because someone sent in, I get sent a couple of clips for every week that I can look at. So I decided to try and pick, what I went through and I looked through and it's like, oh, what am I going to do today? And so I started looking through the list and I saw this email from a nice sub of ours, I believe, Amnaxis. And Amnaxis sent in this email that is the angriest email I think I've ever gotten. So we're going to very, very briefly take a look at it, just like the first 4 minutes, because it's mostly Farah. We did Farah very recently, so I don't want to linger on it too long. But I want to read you guys this frustration. Just skipping past the intro. Junkrat was I feel every time Blizzard buffs a DPS that takes no mechanical skill, I suffer for it. Junkrat was already in 80% of games in Silver. Now he's in every goddamn game with at least 3 shitty mains on between each team. I want to play flankers, but I always have to switch to fire because otherwise no one would be pressuring the motherfucking no aim, no brain trash mouse to keep him from getting all the goddamn free kills. Like, what an email! What an email! So yeah, we're going to be looking at 2.1k Reinhardt, but first I wanted to sort of take a look at this. Let me get chat out the way. So this is just Silver. And he starts out on the Tracer, and we're going to look at about 4 minutes of this clip. Just 4 minutes, because you can see the tilt building. And you can see the frustration mount pretty much immediately when he starts playing, and there is a moment in this where I need to set up the joke up already. Unfortunately, I know how we'll do it. I'll set the joke up now so I don't have to do it later. There we go, and pause that so it's ready. Good. Okay, so Tracer, Control, Lijiang Tower. I'm fine with us taking this pathing route. Like, this is actually pretty strong. Just take a look out the side. Hey, free Zenyatta. You could honestly stay on that and kill that Zen. You can absolutely kill people through Mercy healing when playing Tracer. A little bit smoother on the 180 would be nice.
Junkrat, I hate his bullshit.
And there it is. So it begins. The Junkrat. The Junkrat. Is this Ryan footage? No, we're not going to be looking at some Ryan footage, unfortunately. Yeah. So when you, I wanted to address this very quickly because Junkrats sort of become vogue in meta, and when you're playing as a Junkrat, you've got to suddenly be cognizant of a couple of different things. First and foremost, you've got to be thinking about traps, the zones he's denying. So when you're walking in, and like when I was watching the video, I saw this fucking instantly, but you can guess what's about to happen. And it's when this happened, and I just, like, you could just feel the blood pressure. You could just feel the blood pressure. Oh my god, I was watching this and it's just like, holy shit, this guy's lost his fucking mind within like the first minute of the game. It's just, like, you could have 15% more ult charge just by shooting something right now. Like, there's so much more you can get, but it was just watching this, it's just going, oh no.
Junkrat.
Oh no.
His little junk fucking ass.
Okay. So, okay, let me very quickly get on this, because, let's try and be useful. If you're playing against a hero that tilts you, mine is Hanzo. Everyone kind of has one. Divas is most people. Mine is Hanzo. Like, if you're playing against that hero, just, you gotta kind of just accept it, that hero exists, and that you might have to change how you play. Like, Tracer is actually a very good example of someone who has to be a little bit more cautious if Junkrat's on the map, because he's gonna put traps down, he's gonna put down things, he's gonna try and spam in areas that you're going into. To cause you problems. This would actually be a beautiful time for a pulse bomb, and I do also want to highlight, just before we skip on to sort of the next thing, F as a blink hotkey. I don't know if you use right click or if you actually do use F. I really don't like it. The reason why, I can't really show you very easily without sort of holding my keyboard up, and I don't want to show you guys how disgusting that is. So WASD, let me put my hand like this, okay? So W is on your middle finger, D is on your index finger, A on your ring finger. Okay? If you just look at how your hand sits on the keyboard, that's sort of how you'll sit idly. You'll generally have your little finger, your pinky, over here, on shift, which is why shift is such a useful hotkey, because you're not using any of your other fingers. If you want to hit F, you've got to move your index finger off D to F. So if you want to strafe to, like, I don't understand how you would ever be able to blink to the right without having to really rejigger your hand. So I don't like that F hotkey at all. I don't think that's going to help you. Either remap it to, like, the reason why shift is good is, again, it's on your pinky finger. You can definitely get used to it. You should probably try and get used to it. I don't know whether it's just playing a lot of WoW that helped me do that, because you have to use shift and control to use all your hotkeys. But just getting used to having shift on that key. And maybe using a gamepad, maybe, but then I would never say play Tracer on a gamepad ever. The reason why I don't like blinks on, also like blinks on mouse 2, is Tracer needs to have a very steady hand. So when you're tracking targets, you want that to be a very, very smooth motion. And if you're right-clicking at the same time, I don't know, it feels like you're putting too much onto that hand when you can just keep all movement to your left hand and then all aiming to your right hand. And that works easier for me, but it is sort of personal preference, but I just think the F isn't going to help you too much. It's gonna F you more than anything else. Also, just stuff like this. Zenyatta's are easy pickings for you. Just relax. Like, we have massive swings of overaim, but yeah. But I wanted to highlight that start because I just watched it and I thought, holy shit, this guy's gone off the deep end within 2 seconds. This is quite an interesting game overall. They actually end up losing someone, and then they end up winning. And the question was, like, how did we win this? Honestly, the enemy team fucked up, I think it's the short answer from what I saw. Anyway, the actual game we're going to be focusing on, the actual start of the show now, is that we're going to be using, we're going to be looking at this one, which is going to be a Reinhardt game around 2.1k apparently. So, you know, gold, silver, sort of level. Kabaddi uses right click. Yeah, a lot of people use different buttons. Some people even use right click for pulse bomb. I think Tavik uses right click for pulse bomb on Tracer. So there's a whole different bunch of things. Also, before we begin, I'm going to be a horrible sellout and say it's also September. So if you are not subbed but you're considering it, this month there's a promotion on Twitch going. There's a chat command for it as well. That all month long subs are half price if you're then new. It's really nice, but it's actually a full price sub for me. So basically, like, you pay half price, but I get my full revenue out of it from Twitch, which is pretty cool. Just throwing that out there, guys. Incidentally, ha. Well, we're preparing for attack. Right, Reinhardt. Reinhardt has a number of important roles, and whenever I'm coaching a Reinhardt, the first thing I try and look for is, how do they play? Are they too aggressive? Are they not aggressive enough? Do they not barrier enough? Do they barrier too much? Like, all of these things. There's a balance to all things with Reinhardt. First thing I also like looking at... Hey, see, Papa Thingy. That is you.
De-roast me.
I do believe this is you, yes, Papa Thingy. And also, like, a big thing to look at is your team lineup. The team lineup is going to determine how you position and how you set yourself up. As I've mentioned before, probably not tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be casting all day, but relatively soon I'm going to have a video coming out all about positioning. That's going to go into depth about how to think about positioning, consider positioning. But looking at our team lineup, how are we going to position as Reinhardt on Horizon Lunar Colony? Like, how are we going to do all this stuff? How are we going to manage all these various things? And the answer is pretty simple. Well, let's have a look at what we can actually protect here. Well, we can protect the Reaper. We can't really protect the Pharah. The Lucio should be sticking pretty much with us. The Mercy's going to be probably following the Pharah around, so these two are going to look after themselves. So instead of doing it like this, let's do this. I'm going to protect this, and we're going to protect this. The Hanzo can also be relatively free roaming. Well, these two are going to be linked up. So you can basically treat your team like two components, right? You have like the red component and the blue component. The Pharmacy, fuck them. They can do whatever they want. Like, you'll occasionally need to save the Mercy. You might occasionally need to protect the Pharah, but it's going to be very rare. Most of you are thinking about Reaper and Hanzo. Reaper wants to be up close. You have a Lucio as well. Let's be fighty with this team lineup, because if we can get up close to them, then odds are that we can do a lot. Okay, we've lost the Lucio, we've got Anna. Same logic still kind of applies. If we can get up close to them, the Reaper can just kill stuff from behind our barrier nice and safe, and we'll be nice and strong. One thing I will also mention before we get started, frame rate does look a little bit low. Don't know if that's just because you're recording. Recording does eat into frame rates, so I'm aware of that. But it might be worth looking into reducing some graphic settings if you haven't already, just to make sure that you, at minimum, have a smooth 60. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it does make a difference. It really does make a difference. 60 at least is very, very good. Yeah, just something to look for. Otherwise, Horizon's an interesting one because the attack paths aren't that clear cut. There's actually a few different directions you can go. Hey, look, there's some spam already. So let's just get ready to walk around here and just start making our way forward. Okay, they've got a Junkrat as well. That tells us a couple of things, mostly about how long we can go up a barrier up. Then there's also an Orisa. Okay, Junkrat Orisa, that's a problem for us because that's going to be a lot of spam damage into our barrier. So we don't want to have a barrier up for too long. Looks like we already made a decision based on our positioning. One thing I will say is don't go quite this quickly through doorways, but just get here. PC just sucks, but funny enough, bought a new laptop today, GTX 1080. A 1080 will do better. Yes. So just standing here for a little while longer, you've kind of clearly announced your intention. And my advice is instead of doing this in a single smooth movement, just like inch towards it so that people know that you're not going to be here forever. And honestly, like, we're doing good by moving through here, but this is just a little bit too quick where we're not quite giving people enough time to funnel through. You want to give people a brief little bit of time to funnel through. This Sonic Arrow I thought was super useful. Super useful. Because you can see that there's just an isolated Soldier 76 here. And if you take the Sonic Arrow into account, we can now basically track every single member of their team. Okay, they've got an Orisa here, they've got a Reinhardt here, they've got a Mercy here blasting away at us with these projectiles. There's a Junkrat up here and there's a Soldier 76 down here. So there's only really one thing that we haven't accounted for at the moment. Odds are it's going to be over here in this clump. There it is, it's Yana. So 4 people are here. One's up here, one's down here. Honestly, I would be real tempted, once you've got through to this area, the spam coming in from that main area, if you just charge in here and kill this guy, there's not much you can do about it, to be honest. My advice would just... Like, this is a risky move, but honestly, I think it's worth it, because if you kill this guy, then they only have one of the DPS. He's in an annoying position, but the pharmacy can handle that. And you've just killed, like, the main thing stopping you approaching. This is also a very safe approach from all their spam. There's a health pack in here that you can use. It's pretty fucking good. Let's see the decision that gets made. So now the Soldier 76 can just shoot to the rest of your team, so you aren't actually protecting from this target. Instead, you're trying to protect from this one. We spot that there's a trap, and then we promptly walk into it. Don't do that. And then we lower our barrier while running at a Junkrat. So as you can see, the Mercy almost dies. If this Junkrat just fired over us, the Mercy could probably die, and that's this push done. This is where, like, having a little bit of faith in your team is extremely potent and extremely useful. Because this feels to me like we have no faith in our team, and this is more like a Winston play style, where you're just running at the target, trying to sort of put pressure on them and trying to sort of take space super aggressively. This is what you'd be doing if you're playing Winston. If you're playing Reinhardt, you could just keep your barrier up and walk forward here, and you've got a Reaper behind you. Reaper can deal with this. Hanzo could deal with this. Pharah could come up here any second now and deal with this. Like, by lowering our barrier, we are giving opportunities to this Junkrat to kill our Mercy, basically. And that's kind of all we're doing, because he's just going to backpedal. And then by charging, we're sort of committing super heavily to this, when we could just be standing here now with our barrier up and relying on our team. Now, in a straight-up barrier wall, we are not in a good position here. Like, their team is just really fucking good at that. So we do want to be a little bit careful here. I actually don't mind the movement sort of coming around here, though just bringing a barrier up every now and then isn't too bad. And you can see, like, this is causing us problems. This is where, honestly, I would say play for a stall here, but the Pharah's positioning is terrible. So play to just keep your barrier up and hope to get some kills going. Because if you don't, what's going to end up happening is you're just going to end up dying. There's just so much damage here that it's a huge issue. Ideally, what would happen at this point is the pharmacy would either go around this way, they would finish off the Junkrat and then wing around and just kill everything on the back of this. And so all you'd be doing is playing for time for the pharmacy to go and get work done. Somehow Mercy kills your Reaper, which is a shame. And then the moment you go in front of that barrier, you're going to die. Luckily, the pharmacy's still alive. Enemy DPS is starting to drop, so they're going to have a bit of a hard time dealing with it. Though Pharah is floating around outside for some reason. Reinhardt chased Pharah outside for some reason and got killed by a concussive blast. Still, gold level. Okay. Things happen, I guess. I don't mind a bit of aggressive posturing here. The one thing I will say is, like, we should, when we come around this corner, we'd really got to, like, okay, first of all, Reaper gets lost. I see, this is how you can tell that someone hasn't played much Horizon, is that they walk through here expecting to go somewhere. It's just a classroom. It literally, like, the room is literally this. Like, this is a solid wall. There's another corner over here, and then there's like this wall over here, and the other doorway's here. Like, he's just gone for a fucking. He's gonna come out here, guys. Reaper. He's a bit lost, bless him. This is where the Reinhardt change will be very nice, where you can just swing around your camera as well and have a look, because we've got 2 members of a team over here, okay? So we're going to start advancing this way. And then you notice, oh god, everyone's just dying over there, and now we feel completely isolated. And so we're going to go back and try and scoop up our supports, and in that time, our DPS has died. Fire Strike is super, super useful in killing these Riptides. All you can do in this instance... That room shouldn't be there, it's a death trap. Yeah, this room a bit, ugh. All you can do in these instances when you're getting hunted down by something like this is just try for a fire strike on it. The fire strike hit will kill it.
Welcome to
OneAmongstMany. There's a res. Hey!
6 months on this channel, and all I have to say, time well spent.
Thank you, my man. Much appreciated. Okay, so solo res, we're cutting our supports through. I like the fact that we went back to try and sort of save the Mercy. This rat is just asking for death. Let's just tuck back inside. He's still asleep! What? He's having a nap. He's woken up now, for fuck's sake, Jesus. Okay, enemy team is getting broken apart. Enemy team is really badly out of position. Let's try and get to this Reaper. This is where a little bit of bunny hopping wouldn't hurt, just to sort of try and close in. We've disarmed the trap. Reaper's committing suicide by just running in front of you. It's just Reaper things. Go pick up the health pack, charge your way out. So there's a large health pack in that room. So again, this is where a little bit of map knowledge goes a long way. I don't mind the charge to sort of get somewhere safer here, but hitting this wall, going in here and taking this health pack would have been better. Just because there is a health pack there, and then, you know, and it looks for a moment like you're going to do that, because you get here and you go, oh wait, there's someone here. Why don't I go support this person? Why don't I go and tank for this person? Now is definitely not the time to engage. Okay, now we can go in. The reason why that wasn't the time to engage is we turn a corner, and it's like, oh, hey, Nano Boosted Arisa. That's a lot of damage, actually. Nano Boosted Arisa will tear us apart in no time, so we want to be a little bit careful about that. We're fine sitting on this high ground, just shooting down, getting a couple of kills. Getting into position, put a fire strike in there. Barrier up. Yeah. Okay. I was so ready for everything to go swimmingly. So the reason why we jump down, we put a fire strike in, because all I'm looking at is this. Like, if we get a good Earth Shatter now, we win. So you go in, you fire strike, and you put your barrier up. What that does is it buys time for your team to help position with you. It buys your supports time to heal you. You've got 120 hit points. This is suicide. And we get quite lucky in that we kill the Ana, which is immensely lucky. But then sort of we pay the price for it with no Reinhardt there. Their Reinhardt on 1 hit point gets a fucking beaut of an Earth Shatter. And yeah. Doesn't seem to matter too much. Looks like someone called Pro Rock Fuckboy has managed to clear the point. Congratulations, Pro Rock Fuckboy. You've done it, son. Yeah. Like, and this isn't even a case of, like, you just gotta watch your health bar. This is a case of understanding, okay, well, I'm low here, so I've just been picked up by my support. I've dropped down. And then all this time you're taking damage. All this time your barrier's down, you're taking damage, taking damage, taking damage. And that should just twig in your head that I've probably taken a lot of hits here. It's not even a case of, you know, oh, I've got to look at my health bar at this moment. It's, I've just dropped down, I've taken a shitload of damage, I've got some supports behind me. If I just put my barrier up and try and survive, I'll be okay. If this guy goes for a charge, you just Earth Shatter straight off. Like, you have options. If he drops it, if he physically starts the charge, you can just Earth Shatter, get everything behind him, or get him, get the Ana, maybe get the soldier. This buys your team. This is also a good incentive for your team to actually just start pushing and follow you. You'd be surprised at how well the psychology of this stuff works. Where you're on the point, you've got a barrier up, people will follow you. You know, there will be times when people won't follow you and it's very frustrating, but in this instance, people are about in a position where, like, they were ready to follow you. And you weren't there for them. I was alone in voice, it doesn't matter too much, to be honest. Your body language and how you move can tell people so much about your intentions. And one of the things that I find important in Overwatch is communicating what your intentions are without even needing voice. Just how you move, how you position. If a Reinhardt starts like stepping back and forwards, never seems to move forward, that frustrates me immensely because I don't know when to read the push is happening then. You can cover this Reaper. Or just... okay. The Reinhardt gave you that one. What are they doing? Okay. So when you see an opportunity like this, I mean, first and foremost, this is a nice shadow off the bat. Their Reinhardt is out of position. He can't see what you're doing. He's not going to be able to read it. By the time he hears the hammer down, you would have already struck, and you would have got all of this. Then when he's in position like this, like, again, slow it down. You are actually in a way stronger position than they are at the moment, aside from the obvious rip tire. But this is not the time to charge. This is the time to put your barrier up and let your team just fight and wait for this guy to make a mistake. Because if he makes a mistake and they stay positioned like this, this is just the easiest air shadow you've ever had. Instead, the Reinhardt gives you a free charge onto the soldier, which is okay. And then ideally your team would help you sort of finish this off. Unfortunately you go down, but honestly your team trades for it. And hopefully Pro Rock Fuckboy can come back and actually get something done, but it looks like he doesn't. And the Hanzo's just standing around shooting through a choke point, hoping to get picks. Hanzo. People are also immune to hearing body language too. You'd be surprised. Oh. Oh! We have the mystery of what happened to the Hanzo stood out in the middle of the open on his own. Can you, ladies and gentlemen, solve this mystery? There was a Soldier 76 there before, the Hanzo stood in the open. Who killed Hanzo? Fucking Phoenix Wright this ain't. Get Professor Layton on the case, ladies and gents. It's the fucking mystery. What happened to Hanzo? Oh, Farah, what are you doing? Oh, Mercy, what are you doing? I like that you went to type guys. Just guys, please. Please. You could have fit a fat 360 in there. But look at this fight in detail. I want to see just exactly how it goes. We pulled one of our swings a little bit short there as well. We could have got the Arita and the Bongo comfortably. It's a lot of resources by us, it's a lot of resources from them. This fight is done though. You guys have lost. Just die, just die, just die, just die. Good lad. Okay, let's look at this fight as a whole. I'm not entirely sure that I stirred my coffee, so one moment. This is important. This is super important. Also, I look so weird without my headphones, I know. Gabby. There we go. Okay, so first things first is that people start wasting their ults, which is always bad. BRB. So let's go to the start of this fight and let's break it down. All the way back here. Might even be further back. Okay, so Hanzo's dead is always a bit of a worry. We start spamming group up, but people are running in. Your supports are grouped up with you. Reaper fires a death blossom on his own on the point. This is also a good instance, by the way, to actually, like, I understand that you feel like you're stuck in, like, between a rock and a hard place here. The key thing here is that the Soldier 76 is now run out and he's trying to kill your supports. I would honestly say you'll be fine just jumping down here and just getting in front of this guy and blocking this and letting this bullshit happen. Because they've already committed these resources, but, like, reaction and instinct should tell you, especially if you've been playing this game for all 6 seasons, that the Reaper that's just death blossomed in the middle of the point is probably about to die. And then Farah presses Q to respawn. Okay, we've lost both our DPS. The only DPS on the way is going to be a Hanzo. Mercy puts a res down, manages to get one. Nano boost goes in. Okay, fight begins proper. The Resurrectors actually started like a full-on battle. We isolate and figure out that, hey, Mercy's here, and Mercy is a problem. So we go and try and isolate the Mercy as much as possible and get some damage on her. We get launched. We could easily fit a 360 in here. We get a bit of an Earth Shatter. And we charge the Mercy. Perfectly fine with this. This is absolutely a-okay. We cancel a very good swing for a Fire Strike here, which is a bit of a shame. So this, if you just swung here, you would hit both Orisa and the Bongo, which would be good because we quite rightly figure out that the Bongo has to be dealt with. So we deal with it. Good. Sights happens. The one mistake I'd say we make here is that we back up and become inward, which isn't where we want to go. This, again, sort of comes down to reading body language. So, like, the Soldier 76s come out, and what I want you to do is try and look, like, first of all, spot out, hey, Anna's over here. And you can see where the bullets are going. Right, we can see that he's shooting something this way, so ideally we want to put ourselves between Soldier and what he's shooting at, or at least make him use the time where he has to run up and go past us to actually hit stuff. If he does that, we can start hitting him, we can fire strike him, we can charge him, there's a whole bunch of things we can do with him. We can try backing up a little bit, but it's really not worth doing that. But we want to make sure that we are positioning ourselves between Soldier and everything he's shooting by peeling this way. Like, if you think about the angle available to Soldier, he can shoot out like here. And like in all this space, so we want to cover as much of this space as possible. By moving this way, like half our barrier is like cut off by the wall already. Like we don't care about this space. Soldier can't even shoot over here, so there's no point us getting out the way to the side. We're sort of doing his job for him. And we want to be tucking in more to suppress the Soldier. Gets an Earth Shatter, pretty much I think just on us. The res comes through, tons of people die. Now we know it's done. This is where you basically just try and get as much as you can on your way out. So you'd fire strike out through here, you'd swing your club at Reinhardt a little bit and you'd die, and you come out with 70% ult charge. And then you respawn with the rest of your team, and now you can make a proper push out of it. Guys, you gotta make the pushes together. As everyone runs in and dies. You're not necessarily wrong. Make sure you do not push in at this point. You can honestly afford to cover this, Hanzo. There you go. Just give him a little bit of cover. My advice is, like, if you're doing this kind of thing, don't let your barrier go under about 1,000. When it starts getting to 1,000, just regenerate it. We're just giving Hands opportunity. No, fucking hell. Okay. Relax. You've literally just said, guys, we got to make the pushes together. Do we have any idea who's behind us? Do we have any idea if people are ready for a push? The only thing we know is that Hanzo is here, Mercy is here, and I think Anna is shooting at us. But very, very, like, recently, if we go back a little bit, Mercy and Reaper both died. Just as we were coming in. They're respawning now, so they're about 10 seconds behind us. Like, this just feels a little bit preemptive. And, like, this charge, sure you can get someone with it, but what's the end result of this charge? Like, you know, I talked about this a lot before when talking about Reinhardt. Think about where your charge is going to end. If you charge here, your team has no more tank. So all the Junkrat damage coming through is going to deal damage. All the Orisa spam going through is going to deal damage. All of that is going to hurt. All of it. You charge through here, you might get someone. But you're going to end up in the back of the enemy team, completely fucking useless. You'd probably have hit the Soldier, maybe the Junkrat, probably the Soldier. You'd go through, you'd hit over here, and then they would just kill everyone on your team. Like, that charge is completely 100% damning for you. Luckily, Junkrat bails us out of it. And here's the thing, you're charging aiming down here. That's a bad charge. A good charge would actually be hitting this. Because then you come out of it, you got your barrier. Like, let's use blue. You got your barrier up in front of their team. And you might kill this Junkrat, for example. Like, hitting this, that's a fine charge. Hitting this, that's a fine charge. Well, it's an okay charge. Hitting this back here, that's a bad charge. That leaves you so badly out of position. That's the sort of charge that people talk about when it's like, hey, Reinhardt, why are you abandoning the team? That's literally what you would end up doing. I'm lingering on it because that's kind of very, very important to understand. The enemy team backs up enough for this to work. We have a mystery moment again. Thank you, Jumbo Slice. Oh, 2 months. Jumbo Slice 10. So now that the enemy team has backed up a little bit, this is honestly more okay, but again, I would still prefer if we ended up here rather than back here. So now it's not like we're leaving a shitload of people behind us to just fight. We are still the front line if we end up here. I'd honestly say we might be better just scooping up the soldier. But this is where I would be thinking Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter. Moments like this are incredibly strong for Earth Shatters when you charge through the enemy team, turn, and then you just get a quick Earth Shatter down. Wait, we Earth Shattered a corpse there, friend. I'm sorry, friendo. This is honestly, this is where frame rate can really help. This is where like frame rate will actually make a big difference. It sounds weird to say, but it's true. You get the kill and you go for the Earth Shatter, and if you can see everything that's happening as smoothly as humanly possible, you know that this is dead. This fine Orisa booty is down for the count. The only thing that you're going to be able to hit with this is this guy. And so when you're, when he's doing the hammer down, like, you can turn him. You can turn Reinhardt. You have moments, to adjust your aim. And so you can easily just put this guy right in the middle of your screen and just goddamn nail him. Instead, yeah, feels bad, man. I like this movement onto the point. Just stand up. Just stand there, put your barrier up. Just don't step in this. Honestly, I actually don't like how much we're repositioning it. This position here is perfectly fine. You could just stay here. This guy behind us, look at him, he's lovely. Hello, Junkrat. Oh, look at you. Look at you. You really annoyed one of my subs, apparently. So you can easily get that, like, your team can easily handle that kill. Then if you think about where the threats are coming from, well, they're going to be coming out of here, they're going to be coming out of here, and then to get to the point, if they come out of these two doorways, they're going to have to go through you. That's good, because that means you can hit them. You can just fucking slap their ass. Jesus. You want to be able to do that. It also means that your team can then safely stand, like your Reaper could just stand right, like you can stand here, your Reaper can stand here, and then he can even just bounce over this way if he wants. The Hanzo could put a sonic arrow over here so they can see stuff coming, and then that's perfectly fine. That's super strong. Instead, we've suddenly just given like all this space here. Your team can't stand in it safely anymore because you're not blocking it. So half the point, half this territory we've just taken, we just backed up and sort of let it go. There's no need to stand this far back. Not at all. If you can hear someone shouting in the background, that's my brother shouting at something. I'm not sure what. He's shouting at people on the internet, I think. Who knows? Somewhere on the internet. Okay. Stay on the Reinhardt. Something's really incensed him. Not sure what. I'll find out later. Anyway. So, defending on this map is actually quite tricky. First point is always a little bit difficult, just because there's a whole bunch of different places you can stay. Again, take a look at a team lineup, think about how it's going to influence our positioning, think about how it's going to influence where we're going to stand. Now we're going to do things, okay? We have the Hanzo again. Yeah. he can kind of do what he wants. We have May Reaper Symmetra. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the optimal engagement distance for this team lineup? Close, right? It's completely close range. Anything in close range is going to die instantly. They're going to get frozen, shotgunned, lasered. Hanzo's the only thing you've got to deal with a long-range threat. If they have a Farah, you are fucked, ladies and gents. The Reinhardt is just going to be super useful for blocking as much as possible. But yeah, I would play this probably just on the point, to be honest. Like, you just stand on the point with these guys. Well, stand on the point with, like, these guys. And Hanzo can just go fuck himself, basically. He can go do what he wants. He can run around, he can climb walls, he can do whatever he likes. Right, we're calling it. Symmetra can sneak a few turrets here and there just to get some ult charge. But yeah, they should come back to help defend on top of you. This is where I would suggest a little bit of stubbornness on your part. So okay guys, the reason why this positioning is bad is if the enemy team just goes like right, you lose. Like they have the one thing in this map is they have to get on the point. So if you play from the point, they can't do much. So because we have sort of relented and sort of moved to our team, just be prepared to adjust your positioning very quickly. Be very careful about standing out in the open like this. So you just get into cover where you can use walls. Okay, looks like they're going left. Looks like they're coming up. And you can see, like, because they're not playing into Reaper specifically, like, that gets the Mercy killed. And this is frustrating to watch, because the tactic that you called for is actually correct here. You're going to have to pick a side to engage on. Would have been nicer to get the Lucio there. Ooh. Did someone in voice just say point? Was that us saying point? Who knows? Undertaker Dan!
To see my boy Rain getting some love today.
And this whole thing is very, very frustrating. I want to take a look at it and then optimize it. So the reason why you guys lost is, honestly, like, to make you feel nice and vindicated, because they didn't, like, your teammates didn't understand the power of their team comp and the fact that this map, the enemy team just, they don't even attack as a unit, they just go fucking everywhere, and then no one gives a fuck. Like, you guys don't fight as a grouped unit, and so they just win because they have better range. So first things first, like the Mei's spamming a little bit, okay, whatever. This will be that'll be so much stronger to do from the point behind you, nice and safe. Mei drops back, we start considering dropping back, we stand out in the open a little bit, we take some damage, take some poke, okay. Now what I would say is, again, use this Sonic arrow and try and read what the enemy team is doing. So you can see both supports coming this way. This is a good sign that they are going to be coming up here. Like, this is a sign that the main push is coming up here. You could try and reposition here and support this Reaper. And instead we just decide to abandon him. Honestly, fair enough. Reaper can do that. The Mercy then is making a mistake though by trying to go up and support him. The thing with Reapers is this. You can Wraith form. He can just leave. He can just float off like a fucking ghost. That's what he does. Thank you, the true zombie king. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Much love. Get some scrap hype going for him. Beautiful. So I would say, yeah, we were fine moving this way. Mercy, this is Mercy's mistake, which is trying to support someone who doesn't need the support necessarily. This Reaper does not need a Mercy babysitting him. If he gets in trouble, he Wraith forms, he slides out, and then he can get back to the team, maybe. He can probably just about make it. And now we're getting surrounded and pulled in every direction. In this moment where you can start to see, okay, everyone is dying, this is where you're basically going to have to pick a direction and just go and try, like, you basically have two fights. You got the left side fight and the right side fight. Taking this fight, I'm honestly fine with. I just think that we end up, like, we push ourselves to the right when we should have just been looking to get this guy. So I would have suggested just aim for this corner and just try and get the Lucio. The reason why we want to get the Lucio is this is a Reinhardt with 2 healers on him. Even if we connect the charge, we're not really going to be able to kill him. We can kill this Lucio in a single hit, and then we can start trying to deal with the Reinhardt, but honestly we'll be looking more to get to the Zenyatta. It's just a very, very difficult situation, and we're pretty much in dire straits, but we're never killing this guy, basically. The health pack we missed there. If you are in these instances, again, this is where map knowledge helps so much. Pull back this way. Pick up this health pack on the way there. 75 extra health for you. Could be just an extra swing. A little bit of extra ult charge before you die. Could be useful. Reaper and Hanzo are now committing suicide. We are considering our options. Honestly, I wouldn't be reconsidering too much here. Like, your team doesn't have a main tank, they're going to need the Reinhardt. Winston could work here very, very well. It's just with the team... with the team lineup they've got, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd say you're still okay on the Reinhardt. The scary part now is that the enemy team will have complete control of the high ground. Just try and get, like, this is where being the wall comes into play. Just try and put as much between your team and the threats as possible. Give them a smack or two, bring your barrier up. Less keen on that charge. It does work out. So, like, you come out in this situation, right? First things first, oh shit, this Mercy needs protecting. So let's try and just get in front of these guys, put a barrier above the supports primarily, and then try and work our way forward. We see that their Reinhardt comes in for a charge, misses. This is an opportunity where you could try and take the counter charge, but honestly I prefer what we end up doing, which is we just take a step forward, take a swing or two, and then honestly I'd say you'll be fine putting your barrier up here. Just because you have like a Reaper on the point to fight this stuff, you let the Reaper and Junkrat work on these guys, and they're gonna, like, that's gonna do it, right? We don't end up getting the Zarya with the charge, and it does force the Reinhardt out of position, but the Reaper gets on it anyway. Now we're just cleaning up, no problem. Isn't it bad to go Winston against Zarya? Not necessarily, you just gotta be a bit careful. Like, you could say this, like, the argument that is AO... Okay, don't just stand there and take damage as well. The argument that, oh, Winston does a big AoE cleave, therefore it's easy for Zarya to charge, it's the same, like, Reinhardt fire strikes charge here extremely well. Reaper is crazy. What is this game? Okay, let's finish the Zarya point. Like, Reinhardt can charge Zarya just as easily. The thing that Winston gives you on this map is that you can just stay up here, you can drop down, do some damage, bounce back up, do some damage. You can... This is a big space to protect, and Winston can kind of cover a lot of it. Just for future reference, I know it doesn't really apply here, but because we don't know where... Like, we know there's a couple of threats down here, there's a couple of threats down here, but we don't fully know or appreciate what's around this corner. You see someone on this many hit points, just take a step or two forward and put a barrier up for him to tuck behind. Just for a moment or two, just so Mercy can get some healing on him. Because if literally anything else is shooting from back here, this guy is basically looking at you, because I've been this guy. I have been this guy so often in my life. Where I've got a Reinhardt who's running up to me, and I'm going, Ryan, please, I'm about to die. Just put the barrier up that I can hide behind it. Like, please, please. And then if you did this, and I got shot in the back, I would be fucking livid. Costs nothing, can save lives. Just very, very worth keeping aware of. We make the decision to drop down. We see that the Reinhardt gets launched this way, and then he just vanishes. He's fucking Houdini here, has escaped. I think Junkrat put down a second bomb and just threw it up. So an interesting thing here is that this Reinhardt no doubt has our shadow, so we want to play carefully around that. I like how you're both just positioning for each other. So you should have seen the counter our shadow coming. Luckily it doesn't matter too much from the looks of things. Okay. So then, let's start from here. So the important fact is we haven't seen Earthshatter from this Reinhardt. We have Earthshatter. He's ahead of us. Basically, he's been doing better. So he has Earthshatter. Like, we know that for a fact, pretty much. That's not a hard thing to keep track of. So, if he didn't have Earth Shadow, what I would be suggesting to do is to just ignore him and then just look at what's coming through the doorway, because then you could just turn and Earth Shadow that and leave this guy. Like, this guy over here is not going to do much, while the guys coming in are going to do a lot. You could also, once he commits to this charge, land and go for a counter charge now, because like he's basically in like a scoop, and so he's not going anywhere. If you just aim it like here, he is going to hit one of these walls, and you're going to do a shitload of damage to him. The scary part about that is you have Discord Orb, so it's going to be tricky. So running up to him, hitting him once or twice, okay. The important thing is we got our barrier up between him and our team, and we want to keep doing that. Well, the RF Shadow is ready. It's okay, fair enough, we're setting up for it, but we're mostly just trying to, like, we're positioning, you know. You can play like the, let me get the, like, this is what springs into my mind. There. Like, this is all I hear. As you two are just positioning carefully. You get a beautiful Earth Shadow. The thing is, the scary part is that if you try and just go for this Earth Shadow, he's going to counter Earth Shadow you. Like, this is so common. I don't know how well this is coming across. The fucking Star Trek fight music. The second you go for that charge, he's going to Earth Shadow you. Like, this is a classic thing with Reinhardt versus Reinhardt, where if we have, let me use red. So their team is positioned for some reason over here. This is enemy team, right, in the lovely magenta. Enemy Reinhardt is for some reason positioned here. Okay, there you go. He's got a T shape for a face. We are positioned here. We also have a crusade shape for a face, and our team is, let's just say, behind us. Okay, our team is just nicely positioned behind us. We have a barrier up. They have a barrier up. The thing is, we get an Earth Shadow through, and we hit all of this stuff. But we don't hit the Reinhardt, so all of these guys are Earth Shadowed. You are quite right in being tempted as hell to go, oh my god, I can kill everything. I am going to drop my barrier and kill everything, because this is my Earth Shadow, this is my play of the game, I'm going to win now. Fuck yeah. And then you drop your barrier, and the enemy Reinhardt goes, oh, thanks, and then just does this. And then because he's the only one standing up, and these guys are going to stand up first, they end up winning the team fight. Very common. Very, very, very common. If Earth Shadow does not catch the enemy Reinhardt, and you've been positioning and jockeying around each other, understand that the enemy Reinhardt is going to fucking Earth Shadow you. Because it's completely obvious. Luckily, he doesn't get the Reaper. Reaper, pro rock fuckboy, manages to get 2 kills, but it's too little too late. It's Soul 76 now ults from the high ground, kills everyone. If you just stood there with your barrier up, you probably would have had a better time of it. It would just be very difficult for their team to get anything done. Now you're free to go twatting that guy. Good job. Feels good, man. Honestly, I don't understand the request. Don't get me wrong, it would definitely help more than the Hanzo, but you haven't really lacked for tankiness. It's just that we can position ourselves just a little bit better to get a little bit more done. That, and also, like, Reinhardt on this point is difficult. We want to get back onto the high ground. The reason why you want to get back onto the high ground is pretty simple. If the enemy team comes out here, and you're up here, you can drop down. If the enemy team comes out around here, you can drop down. If the enemy team comes out up here, and you're down here, what the fuck are you going to do? You're just going to stand here and look up and go, shit. Yeah. You have options when you stood up on the high ground. Let's just get back up there. And you resetting up there is going to signal to your team to reset up there. Like, they're pushing through there now. Your Reaper could have been way more effective in Unnecessarily, for example. And so, yeah. It gives your team options. Okay, this area's dropped down for no good reason. We just battered that area miles. Barrier up. To protect your Mercy. I think she's caught in a grab. This is an odd charge. So, sure, there is leeway when you charge, but just make sure to aim it properly when you start. Make your life easier. Charging is basically a cone. I think the idea is we're going to go for this Zen, but Like, judging from where we're charging, we're expecting him to go back this way. I'll tell you as a good rule of thumb, supports universally typically move towards their tanks. Which is what he does. We can just smack him around. Good stuff. Correct thing to do. Like, there's nothing threatening your team at the moment, really, that you're needing to block. You can just keep hitting him, forcing him into an opposition. He either stands there, keeps his barrier up, and keeps getting hit by you, or he drops his barrier, tries to run and gets killed by a Reaper. Like, there's no good outcomes for him there. This is patient. I like it. Good stuff. So many wasted fire strikes, and the fire strike spam's not too bad. They do have a area, so you want to be a little bit careful, but... I'd say overall positioning is what we need to work on first and foremost. That one was a bit unfortunate. Middle of the fire strike is the projectile. As long as the middle floats through, you're okay. This is an odd charge. Like, the concussive blast kind of fucks us up there, so fine. But even then, like, I would say, even if we didn't get shunted to the side, it's an okay charge. It's definitely better than some of the ones we've tried before, because it's going to end us up here. But there's no way that this charge really connects with anything. Like, you charge here, the Zarya just steps back, the Lucio just steps back. There's no way we're going through here. And if you try and charge this way, you're going to end up in such a bad position. So all you can really do is charge to here, and then you're going to be sort of stuck out here. Where we are now is actually fine. Like, again, the Reaper is safe. The Reaper can back away. If they try and chase through, you can just engage on them. So, the Reaper's actually okay. And we kind of abandoned him a little bit, and now they're all going in here, so let's just go ring round. I would say you'd be fine just going and protecting these guys, putting the barrier up, because most of the threats are over here, so if you just block these guys. Again, this is over-egging it. Like, it works out because the enemy team reacts badly. But this is like a complete lack of faith by our team. It's like we're in position to protect our team. With Lucio shooting into it. These guys, like, while you are stood here... Let me go back a couple of frames. While you are stood here, these three people in this team fight are doing abso-fucking-lutely nothing. They are shooting your barrier. That's all they are doing. Meanwhile, you have 5 people on the point, potentially fighting 3 of theirs. But during all this time, the Zarya, the Lucio, the Soldier are doing nothing for them. At the moment, your Junkrat is running after a Zenyatta over this way. Your Hanzo somehow headshot with a scatter arrow onto a Pharah. Congratulations, Hanzo. These guys are just doing nothing. They're doing nothing at the moment. And if you just stay here and let these guys do nothing, your team probably wins. By charging, you've given them an opening where now they can all just shoot at you. And sure, you can start smashing faces in here, but if they all just focused you appropriately, Soldier landed a couple more headshots maybe, and Lucio shot at you as well, you could die here. The fire strike is good. Please do not Earth Shatter here. And now with the Mercy plugged up our Anus, we're fine. You can just smack people around. Clean up. This is where Lucio should be on speed. Just to facilitate chasing this down. Let that go. Let the Reaper go. Actually a bit of a shame that the Reaper killed the D.Va. Leaving that as baby D.Va would have been perfectly fine. Do I just let it happen here to give other people time? Yes. Yes, you absolutely do. Like, a single Soldier 76, a Lucio and a Zarya, and I'm going to kill your barrier super quickly. Barrier exists to be used. Like, you should be more worried about dying, or them killing people. That is a trapped D.Va. With a Mercy behind. I would say that you would honestly be okay in this moment, because you've just seen the Mercy Guardian Angel to this. I would say you'd be okay, like, coming around this corner and just Earth-Shattering. You literally end the push in a single ult. Just Earth-Shattering this. It's a bit awkward because we can't see the Mercy. Like, we kind of know she's here thanks to this. But just, like, Earth-Shattering across here would have been fine, I would say. As long as nobody else ults, yeah. Like, they cannot push with no D.Va and no Mercy. You just kill the Mercy, demech the D.Va, and all is golden. You could also maybe consider going for a charge on the trap. Like, the key here is spotting that this is a trap, right? You could also, in theory, go for a charge here. The problem is you can't get into position to charge the Mercy very easily. Charging the Diva is not going to kill her. So I'd say you'd be okay Earth-Shattering, because you're not going to Earth-Shatter anything on the high ground. And getting rid of Mercy and Diva is high prior. Where is my fucking clown music? Where is it? There's the one. Soldier 76 is in a game-winning position at the moment, however. Like, the Reinhardt is out of position hunting down 2 targets. He presses Q, he has all the targets in the world. He comes in from the high ground. And then he drops down and then presses Q on the low ground. If he just stood here and used all of this space that he has, he could kill everyone. What the fuck is he doing? Just... Because I was going to say, there's no way that you're going to be able to Earth-Shatter anything coming in from the high ground. Like, you can't do it. They're just going to stand on the high ground up there and shoot down at you. You can't Earth-Shatter them. You might as well use it on the shit on the low ground. And then they just drop down. For no reason. For no reason at all. He decides that doing it from the low ground is going to go better than doing it from the high ground. It's just beautiful. Oh god, I love it. I love it so much. You're fine Earth-Shattering that, by the way. This was a fine Earth-Shatter. You have no idea what his hit points are. You don't know that he's this low. There is still a threat to your team. Earth-Shatter for Tac Visor is worth it. Earth-Shatter for Tac Visor is absolutely worth it. A bit of a shame the Mercy didn't die, but whatever. 76, I got this, hold my beer. Get over here and drink up! Just fucking... I don't understand what... Maybe he just, like, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe he just fell off and thought, fuck it, I'll just do it from down here. This is the infinite tilt of the Reinhardt. Unfortunately, it's just a part of things. What you can do to try and alleviate that is just never, like... Basically, you don't want to cross this line, right? You don't want your teammates to cross that line. This is like, because you have cover here, you got cover here, like, it's all fucking good. So if you just put your barrier there, so that Junkrat can just shoot out, and then if he crosses it, then you're angry. If you're standing here and he's just poking forward, you just get a little bit more range, it's okay. Don't be too angry if people are like poking just a tiny bit forward, especially if their team doesn't have like a Widow or a Hanzo or something that can one-shot with ease. It's not too big a deal. It is a big deal when they are more like, you know, when there is a Hanzo, for example. Then they're just asking for death, or a Pharmacy or something like that that's just absolutely annihilating shit. Technically there is a Pharmacy, but they're not really playing like a Pharmacy, so who the fuck knows. Sonic Arrow is giving you lots of good intel. Why are we positioned here? We can see that the enemy team is all positioned in this area. We want to put ourselves, this big tasty barrier between as many of our team and them as possible. Here is not where we need to be. We need to be like over here. I'm ready to block this side coming in.
Welcome to Overwatch.
That's a charge 5 or someone. Ah, feels bad, man. Back up, back up. I'd say the 5 strike there even is greedy. Honestly, I would have probably ended up in exactly the same situation, so I don't feel too bad about this. It's just, this is a hallmark. Maybe this is a learning moment for me as well, which is like, this distance is probably a bit too much and a bit too greedy. Key thing with Zarya barriers is they last for 2 seconds, so you can try and factor that in. So you deploy the barrier, and now you're counting 1, and now you can probably charge. Like, now you can probably be okay charging. Because by the time you contact her and by the time she hits the wall, the barrier is gone, and then you can get a lot of damage out on her. I'd say the 5 strike here is greedy. We luck out because the Ana is bad and misses like the world's easiest sleep dart. If the Ana hit that sleep dart, we would be in a lot of trouble. And like, just barrier up, don't bother going for the fire strike here. The key thing is we have to get back to our team here. We have to sort of get back and try and survive. Reaper's giving us a little bit of space. So Reaper, don't overthink it. Now we're backing off a bit too far. Like, we don't need to be this far back. You have... Like, I know we're nervous, but... We still have 1.7k hit points. And now our Reaper's created space for us. Like, notice that the second the Reaper appears, the Zarya moves back. Because she can't run into this Reaper. She's scared to do so, right? Now there's a Junkrat here, a Reaper here, Lucio's here, Mercy's here. We can just stop here and protect all of these guys instead of just backing up and backing up and backing up, which is what we're doing. We're giving up way too much ground for no good reason. And now we're not really protecting anyone at the moment. There we go. Like, we're still giving up all this space. I don't understand why we're giving up all this ground when you could very easily just stand up here. Is it okay to just stand still? Yeah. What's going to stop you from standing still? Like, you could just stop here. And it's not even a case of, like, stand still. You can move maybe a little bit left, a little bit right, but you can just be in this area. Like, you don't need... If you draw a battle line and think, okay, well, where's my team? Well, they're all sort of in this space here behind me this way. So all I need to do is make sure that this barrier is blocking as much from their team as humanly possible in this space. And you do that by just putting yourself between you and the enemy team. So anywhere in this sort of arch is going to be good. If they try and run through you, you can just start hitting them. Because what we're doing now is, now that we're falling back, now all of this space is now open to the enemy. And they haven't done anything for it. We still have 1.2k barrier. We still have tons and tons of fucking barrier we can be using. Also, if you think about what we were talking about at the start, like the engagement distance of this team, we still have a Reaper, remember? Like, the Reaper needs to be close. If the Reaper wants to fight something, where can the Reaper stand to do stuff? We are not facilitating the ability for our Reaper to do stuff. If you're more close, the Reaper can easily just stand next to you and do more damage. If you're all the way back here and the Reaper tries to stand next to you, he's not going to do anything to these. The Reaper wants to be like over here. He wants to be over here. We can facilitate that. We can get him there, and that's what being a tank is about. It's creating space. It's creating opportunities for your team. And by just pulling back like we aren't doing that. And again, like, we have all this space, and like, we're not contesting it. They can just walk into this. They could walk into this. They can walk around this corner. Now, luckily, Junkrat and Reaper have found some easy picks, and so they can sort of, they're just running around killing everything, which the enemy team just isn't dealing with properly. And so now we're just in cleanup mode, so now we can run around and just shoot people. Honestly, the longer this guy survives here, the better. He's just not going to do anything, and he's just going to die. But yeah. This is also another good moment to reset on the high ground, by the way. You're right in calling that this is probably going to be the last fight. We can see where the enemy team is coming. Okay, looks like they're coming down mid. But they could move at any moment. Again, you're giving space to this area that... She hasn't really earned this space. Now that the soldier appears here, now you can pull back a little bit to try and put themselves between you and your team. We've got an achievement. I think this is absorbing a certain amount. Honestly, that D.Va is not a problem. Like, the most important thing to understand is that you are trying to block as much damage as humanly possible. If you think about your team lineup, you have Junkrat and Reaper. What's this D.Va going to do to a Junkrat and Reaper? D.Va doesn't actually do much damage. I mean, she will do next patch, but even then, honestly, it's not that scary. You can let the D.Va go through. If the Ana can't hit, if you are between the Ana and the D.Va, Ana can't heal this D.Va, so Ana has to come closer, which means that you can now smack her. Soldier 76 is over here. You're blocking him. There could be threats coming from this way. There are more threats from this way. Just the D.Va going past you, not honestly that big of a deal. You can maybe give her a smack, but honestly, I would go back and start blocking the soldier, blocking the D.Va. Blocking the Ana would be more important. Just keep your barrier up. Yep. And this should be GG. Mercy didn't even make it to the point. The big thing is, like, it feels like we're not respecting the power of our barrier enough. Like, and judging from the questions popper thingy, we aren't... What I'm gonna do is go through this VOD at, like, 4 times speed or something. Because I want to highlight something for you. Or 2 times speed. I think that might not be fast enough. Skip. What I want to look for is how often does our barrier actually drop below 1,000? Like, it's still not below 1,000 at the moment, it's still over 2,000. Drops below 1,000 now, so we're on 700. Goes back up, it's at about 1,000 now, it's dropping down low. We're actually doing some tanking. We're sort of stuck in a shitty position and our fire didn't flank enough. Okay, fair enough, whatever. And so far, still doing a lot of work. For some reason, Reinhardt follows far outside, which is clownish. Let's get back in. Again, we're tanking. Mercy needs to be following a bit closer. Stopping here would not be a bad idea, it's just so the Mercy can get in. Like, Reinhardt's a gentleman, right? You want to hold the door open, you want to go, milady, and then let the Mercy go in first. Barrier's back up. Drops under 1,000 here. Like, we're actually tanking some damage, which is good. Reaper commit suicide, okay. Barrier's recharging, we've got to get back to our team. We're not going a bit of a funky direction, but I think this works out anyway, if I remember right. And then this is where we blab a charge. Just get a bit over ham. Like, just standing there with your barrier up would have been fine, because then the rest of your team would follow in. Like, that's a good example of a moment where that happened, where we're just not using our barrier. Again, standing in front, just blocking for our team, letting our team fight a little bit, wouldn't have been too bad here, or just going for the immediate Earth Shatter. Charging, I think, is a bit overbold. Charging, you're basically not, again, you're not playing Reinhardt at that point, you're more playing Winston. Winston would be better for that.
Welcome to OneAmongstMany.
Thank you, Maddie! Maddie 8989. Catchphrase! Again, 2000, like, I'm literally just looking, like, what's next to my head, the barrier. We're just fighting, we're not using any barrier. We're using some barrier. Used about 1,000, there we go. And then we're back in swinging. But this fight's already over now. The res. It's where we should just fight a little bit. Like, what I want to draw your attention to, this is actually a really good example of it. Like, this is the one moment where we need to die fast to get back to our team. We don't die fast. Look how long it takes. Like, this is like 5 fucking people shooting at us. And we put our barrier up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, dead. About 20 seconds of time. Like, that's tons of time. And sure, they weren't always just shooting at us, but we blocked a lot of damage there. We blocked 2,000 of it, in fact. It just feels like we're not getting enough use out of our barriers. This is gonna sound weird. Honestly, I think you have the makings of an alright Winston player. Just judging by how we engage and how we behave. Winston wouldn't be too bad. D.Va wouldn't be too bad. New D.Va would actually work okay for us as well. Like, that's kind of what we're playing like. We're not being the stalwart bulwark. We're being like bits and pieces here and there. Bits of tankiness here, bits of tankiness there, bits of tankiness over there. And we're not just fight, and we're not just blocking. Skip. Like, during this entire first moment, we blocked 500 damage, predominantly on our own. Don't really block for anyone else after that point. Mercy commits suicide. Trust in her self-righteous suicide. Go for the charge with the Lucio. Feels bad, man. Reinhardt whiffs his charge. We get bounced around. And then we get smacked in the back of the head. And then throughout all this defense, it's like our barrier will not drop below 1,000. Oh, you might be getting nauseous. Again, I'm just watching this. Literally didn't drop below 1,000 there. So this is 1,000 hit points that you are not using. 1.2k? 1.8k? Dropping. 1.3k? You had 1,000 hit points that you could have spent. That's a lot of time. They have to deal 1,000. Well, they have to deal 1.3k damage to get through to actually start doing work. That's 1.3k that wasn't used. Skip forward, 1.6. That's the Earth Shadow, that was fine. Hey, that's... Our barrier is shattered once. And that's blocking a Pharah ult. Okay, fair enough. And like, there's a balance to be had, right? This is not me saying just stand there with your barrier up until it breaks every single time. You don't want to do that, but you want to be using as much of it as possible to make your team, like, you are literally creating a zone where your team can stand and fight and be safe. And we are not doing that most of the time, which, like, that's to me is the core function of Reinhardt. Reinhardt says, hey, team, you can stand here and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. Again, 1024. 1.1k, 1.3k, Diva Bomb knocks us down under, so the Diva Bomb managed to do it, so it's like 2 ultimates that brought us under a 1k barrier this entire time. And there we go. Just a good demonstration there of watching that back. So yeah, try and block more. Hello, did we play FFA 2 days ago? Yes we did, Technoviking. Hello, good to see you. Sorry I wasn't being too chatty then. I was getting frustrated. I think I was getting mobbed by Genjis, which is usual for me playing FFA. Right. Anyway, like, try and just use more of that barrier. It is okay to let your barrier get low. It is what it is there for. Like, it's like playing Soldier 76, and every time you get down to 12 shots left in your clip, you reload. Why? You've got 12 more bullets. You can use them all. No one's going to stop you. It's not a bad thing to do. All right, we're going to take some questions, and then we'll wrap up with the coaching. But fucking hell. I think that was pretty good, hopefully. I'll see you in part number 2. So start asking questions.